Hello, I'm Toycat, and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on in life, the survival world, and everything in between. And today we're starting this episode as all good days should start, because we're going over to the armory and we're going to be enchanting a netherite hoe. That's right, I reached level 30 without really realizing it while I was doing some background gameplay stuff, and that means that I finally get to have another opportunity to enchant my netherite hoe. I've still been looking for the perfect enchantments for these, and now that I have literally 3 of these chilling around, and we still don't have a perfect one, now is the perfect time to roll the dice, to believe in myself, and to see if we're going to get that perfect unbreaking, silk touch, and efficiency. No, we're not going to. At some point, we can start combining these, like we've got unbreaking, and then if we can just get efficiency separately, that'll be great. But today is not that day. Another day will have to be. But today is actually going to be an entirely different thing, because I am going to be working on the Nether. The Nether update came out a solid month and a bit ago now, but the interesting thing about the Nether update is that everyone's been like exploring the Nether, and some people have been living there full time. But what if you live full time in the overworld? Like, what's the point in the Nether? And I think actually making the Nether a more habitable place, a more built place, is something that sounds really, really challenging, because all of the stuff that you'd build there will be destroyed. But the honest thing about building in the Nether, in my opinion, is that you just have to build there using a certain subset of blocks. And the certain subdecks are all of the ones which have enough blast resistance to survive a direct gas blast. In other words, use stone and stone-like blocks. If you use ice, it will be destroyed, and it has been many times, as you've probably seen and you're going to see across certain things. If you use wood, that can be destroyed. Dirt as well, netherrack also. A lot of the natural nether materials are destroyable by gas fireballs, and it's very demoralizing, which is why I wanted to work on turning this biome, which has been destroyed over literally years now. Like, we're talking something like 6 or 7 years of destruction, because the Nether's been reset a long time ago, back when that was an option. And now we have this Nether that is a biome that doesn't exist on any platform. It's a form of Nether which is very strange and weird to see, and I want to fix this and make it not just a flaming hellhole under my pathway. Look how high up that is by comparison, by the way, just a sign of how much things have been destroyed. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fixing this entire area up, and I'm going to be building a Minecraft structure in the middle of it. Usually what I would do is I terraform the area first, and then I'd build something, but today we're doing it just a little bit differently, because I'm going to be grabbing my blackstone. As you can see, I've got a fair amount of it. I'm going to be grabbing my blackstone, and I'm going to be building my new structure first. I'm doing something I haven't done in a long time, and haven't done in the Nether really since this update, and I'm going to be building a lovely blackstone corrupted Nether pyramid, a blackstone pyramid, if you will. And yeah, it's going to be kind of like a desert pyramid, except it's here in the Nether, and I might use it for something later. Again, there's going to be some cool idea on the inside, I think, but for now, I just want to build it, and I want to have it to be a great connection between the pathway, my little chest room that I built over there, and between, indeed, my Nether overworld that's over there, my ice pathway. Everything should be able to link into this easy, and it should make this area just a little bit more pleasant to look at if I'm just walking past it as well. That is the goal for this structure, and let's see if we can match that. So I guess I really underestimated just how destroyed and on fire a lot of this place was. It's so ugly to build with, but I just have to kind of power through that, find a nice little spot, and start building, which I'll be doing using polished blackstone. Polished blackstone is basically the same as blackstone, but can you guess that it looks a bit more polished, perhaps you could say. And I really like the block. I haven't had a good opportunity to build it in survival, so let's give that an opportunity now. And the reason we're using it is because it's on the list of blast resistance blocks which will not be destroyed by gas fireballs, because a gas fireball doesn't do an explosion high enough. Even with a direct hit, like, you know, to the side, obviously it won't be destroyed, but even a direct hit onto these blocks, which I could show you if I can find a ghast, but a direct hit will not destroy these, which is going to be pretty handy. So yeah, we're going to build a whole temple, and it's going to be ugly and kind of floating at first, but then hopefully we can fix these just weird holes on the ground, and then it'll be lovely afterwards. So I'll be honest, I've built a lot of desert temples in my time. I even have one in the overworld in my desert that I built, you know, kind of fakely to make it look more like a desert, even though it's not a desert, which I suspended over nothing. You know, describing things in Minecraft is really hard. Just, you know, here's a picture of it. It looks really nice, right? And by nice, I mean, it looks like a tragedy, I know. But yeah, we're going to be trying to build a blackstone pyramid, kind of just from memory, to see how well we can do this. And maybe it's going to be a great idea for like a starter Minecraft base, or something like that, right? I could see that being a thing, like build yourself a great little starting Minecraft base by having some blackstone out here. maybe that's a thing, maybe it's not. But yeah, we're gonna start also by just kind of having the main area. So it's 5 blocks for a tower. This is gonna be like a tower starting here. Then it's 3 blocks that I think go inwards. Then it's 5 blocks for like the entrance of the thing. I know this from, I will spoil that something I've done here that I don't usually do. Maybe this will make this so much better. But something I've done here is I've actually, I built this in creative only because I was also making another video. But because of that, I wonder if like my experience having effectively made this already will make this work so much better or potentially so much worse. Yeah, stuff like this. I really have a lot of questions about how this will work, but the hope is that it'll look really glorious. Honestly, the opportunity to try things out before like having to commit to them is something that is a really, really powerful thing to do in Minecraft. Again, like I don't usually do it, and maybe that's like some giant mistake. I think it results in a more fun procedure if you don't know what you're doing ahead of time. But also, the ability to like basically, you know, redo and like change designs and stuff is one of the most powerful things that I feel like we can do as humans. And it seems like weird that like something so basic is so powerful, but it's kind of the fundamental you know, basics of how we do pretty much anything, I would say, as a species, is like, we have the ability to learn. We have the ability to learn from, you know, like to fix mistakes that we've made in past and basically, you know, learn from our lessons or whatever. And effectively, as a result of being able to learn from mistakes, we can just improve our behavior over and over and over again. And we've done that to the level where we've gotten to where we are today. Many points in the world look pretty dumb. Many points in human interaction look pretty dumb, but they're actually the result of like lots of iteration cycles of trying to work out the most mutually beneficial thing. Also, at this point, I'll be honest, I really do not know how tall one of these towers is meant to be. But this seems about right to me. So there we go. We got a nice little desert pyramid tower, or rather, we got a lovely Never Wastes tower. Because if you think about it, the Never Waste biome in Minecraft is effectively the desert biome in the overworld. Like, it's next to useless, but also it's kind of cool at the same time. It has pretty much no terrain, no real reason to want to go there. But also it's great because it's in some places the flattest, and in some cases like the easiest to build with. I would definitely say that at least. And yeah, it's nice to be here. Nice to be building towers. Oh, okay, we gotta remove this giant chunk of rock. It's so sad to me, like whenever I have this weird like almost preservationist attitude where when I see like, oh yeah, I'd have to, like this rock right here was generated in 2012 or 13 or 14. Again, I'm not sure which year precisely, but it was generated all that time ago. And it's like, oh, I don't wanna lose it. I don't wanna have to, you know what, if I destroy this rock, it'll be gone. That piece of that generation that can never come back will be gone forever. And it kind of breaks my heart to think about doing sometimes. Which is weird, because I'm also like a big fan of like always make progress. My Minecraft world only ever expands, right? But also sometimes I'm like, oh, but does that have to go to expand? And the answer is yes, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Speaking of things that don't hurt, I really love this polished blackstone kind of effect that we've got going on here. Like, I don't know why I like this block so much. It's such a basic one, and it's, I think, probably objectively ugly. Like, if you look at the texture really closely, I don't think it's so great. But I think the fact that, like, such an ugly base block, you know, blackstone, we've all seen it. It's just cobblestone of the Nether, which, by the way, is really useful for making things not destroyable, by the way. But it's like, we've got this like cobblestone of the Nether, and then you can combine it together and instantly make this actually pretty attractive block, especially for the Nether. It really, really fits like any Nether area. Like, we've just got soul sand and netherrack around here, but yet this is a perfect fit for that, right? And just having this big base to build off, it's really nice. Also, I probably should have checked that we're actually correct before we did something else. You know what? Nah, I've built enough desert temples recently, because I've been working on some stuff for my upcoming trip. If you don't know, I guess trip isn't even the right word if you're going somewhere for 3 months. I am, for some interesting reasons, relocating to the United States of America via the Middle East for, again, long story on everything, really, but I think it's better not to explain stories sometimes to get to your point that you're trying to make. So I'm going to be going for a little bit. And one of the things I've done as a result is I've built a lot of desert temples for a lot of different, unrelated, but coincidentally having showed up at the same time purposes. And it's interesting because I realized only today that those videos will show up in reverse sequential order. Like this video, because it's the Let's Play, will go out on Monday. And then later this week, probably, I assume, it might be out just before this Let's Play and I look real dumb. But then later this week, you'll see me building it before then. And then like a week after that, you'll see me building for the first time a desert temple. And it's just, it's a very interesting thing to me, like the power of reverse sequentialing time. You know, like being able to take time out. Again, it's the same thing with like if you. Given that this is my third time or whatever building a desert temple in not such a long space of time, I have the power to do it better than the times I did it before. Rather than having to stick to a broken method and just being broken forever, you can learn from your mistakes and you can improve from them. Something I've always thought is such a powerful tool that some people don't even take advantage of. Like that, I guess like if everyone did it, then it wouldn't feel like a tool. It would just be a thing that we did. Oh, look, we can finally prove it. Where are you? Ghast? I literally don't see a ghast. I just heard a shriek as if there was a ghast. You know, it's such a nice time when you have no ghast, right? And the Nether is usually this loud, busy place covered in noises, but not today. Anyway, so as well as being able to have polished blackstone here, which we're gonna continue, and we need to grab some more of, clearly, like I thought that was enough. Oh, okay, we got more blackstone. But also, we're going to have to be using some other explosion-resistant blocks. So what do we recommend, eh? Well, I'm going to be using some nether brick blocks because, obviously, I need to, you know, like, have some accents on the thing. Obviously, we're going to be throwing in there somewhere on the inside some fences, I can assume. Also, again, blast-resistant safe, even though they're on the inside. And then also, basalt is something that I recommend. You can take your basalt and you can turn it into polished basalt. It's, you know, potentially questionable you know, trade to make in my opinion. But yeah, because again, polished basalt can't go backwards. But if you are sure that you want to use some polished basalt, you can use that too. And then way more importantly, the most blast resistant block that we can use as a player in Minecraft is some crying obsidian. This is 1200 blast resistance. Any explosion, if you surrounded crying obsidian by explosions, even if you modified them to be literally 50 times more powerful, crying obsidian would not break. So we've got one of the harder blocks in Minecraft, which I think will be useful for maybe the surrounding area. If not in the thing itself, because I think it's also a good source of light and like color. So we're gonna be using these things together. So first up, let's go for the entrance. There's like again, I hope I'm getting this right. There's like a big thing that goes around the pillar, the kind of like start of a desert temple. So it looks like this, and then it goes inwards a little bit, I want to say, and then it's like across to there. Except we should probably have this be facing up, but we'll deal with that later. And then there's like a single block there, I want to say. I think that's how a desert temple looks at the start. And then just behind it, we have like a little bit of a basic, literally, you know, it's like a doorway to a house. It's like, oh yeah, we have blocks that go around there. And then we also have a block over here, which I thought I could make place upwards by doing that, but I guess I cannot. So instead, maybe we have a block going to the side and then downwards. It's just, again, with polished basalt, because it's got this kind of tree-like thing where one side is so different to the others, I'm kind of cautious of having it face outwards like this, because I also know this is wrong. Like I think we definitely have an extra block on these sides here, so let's just stack ourselves up real quick over here, because this goes at least 3 blocks high, I think. And then we can climb up here, have an extra block there, have an extra block there, and boom, we have ourselves, if I'm not mistaken, a desert temple entrance. That's really nice. I would say it looks kind of dumb right now, but maybe once we get these walls behind it going, you'll start to agree with me. Or maybe this will just be the ugliest thing I ever build. We don't know for sure until we go with it, which is part of the fun of building in Minecraft, in my opinion. But yeah, as people, we can like learn from mistakes and change past behavior and stuff. And oftentimes we think about that in terms of like, oh yeah, we made a mistake and I'm never gonna repeat it again. But sometimes something happens that's really like objectively just a bad thing. Like an awful thing happens to you. I don't know. I almost got hit while I was riding my scooter, and if you know, if I'd have been a slightly less cautious, I would have died. Or I don't know, on a much smaller scale, my PC crashed this this morning, and I lost my browser tabs. And you know, it was a bad thing. Like, oh yeah, all the things in there, like my video editing stuff and my, you know, working with the Microsoft and the partner stuff. All of that stuff like is closed. I have to reopen the window, and I'm not going to reopen all of them, which means some stuff is effectively, even though not really, lost forever. It seems like a giant tragedy. Am I, you know, not right? Am I right? Like just losing everything. No one ever thinks to themselves one day like, you know what? I would really love it if I just lost everything today. That's not a normal thought to have, at least. If you have a thought like that, then again, that's generally considered to be atypical and like maybe destructive, suicide or whatever else. But you know, like when my browser crashed and I lost everything, I had this like kind of realization that like, you know, I really like it having so few tabs. And it's recently I've been having this issue where it's been happening once every week or so. My PC will crash. Like I've been having PC crashing issues my entire life, and just but like my PC will crash, and then Chrome usually keeps the tabs. Like that's what Chrome tries to do, but it just hasn't been recently, which is again, it's a tragedy objectively speaking. But the one cool thing that comes out of it, the one little benefit is that like, oh yeah, I actually kind of like having so few tabs. I hate closing tabs because I never know if I'm going to need them later, and I'm just being dumb by removing them now. But also, I like having none, which means this like tragedy of my PC crashing and like being annoying and sometimes stopping recordings does have like a cool thing that comes from it, has a benefit that comes from it. Sometimes there are these really bad things that you don't want to have happen to you in life, but yet, despite them being bad things that you wouldn't want on yourself, you wouldn't hope for, good can come from them regardless. Ooh. I was thinking, by the way, you know how the Desert Temple has that like kind of lead-in block, the kind of thing at the front? What if we had a Crying Obsidian as ours? Because it lights up the build, which is nice, but also it kind of sends this... Again, Crying Obsidian is a rare, kind of hard to come across block. There is 2 ways to get it, and they're not really easy or consistent. They're not beginner ways, to say the least. So I think that's kind of cool. Also, I'm realizing now, I think we should have built this slightly higher up, and I'm in the like process of like, is it too late? And I think it is too late, which is why this is why I usually work on the biome first, then do everything else around it. Which is why I'm thinking maybe like, why don't we just do, you know, because we already have to destroy that up there. Why don't we just destroy a little bit more of the biome around it? Oh, okay, that's probably one of the reasons why. Why don't we destroy a little bit more of the biome around it to try and make it fit in? So I think we're gonna deliberately like lower the area around it so that this gets higher by comparison, which is cool, and it's kind of viewing it from a downwards angle, which is a bad idea, but you work with what you're given, and sometimes what you're given is something you do to yourself. In fact, a lot of the times, that maybe even a majority, you might be willing to say. But yeah, so let's now you know, build some extra blocks out here, and let's also work on these things at the front also, because we need to have you know, a Desert Temple has the kind of front placing blocks where crazy stuff happens. So we're gonna have some blackstone or some basalt. I'm not sure which would actually be better as the front. I guess polished basalt. We've got some of this here anyway. We're gonna be using some polished basalt for the main blocks, and then we could use Crying Obsidian for like the things in between. But given that I think we've already used some of that there. Okay, let me show it. There's a ghast here now. I can prove my grand point about how you can build out of polished blackstone all you like, and ghasts will not care. What's that, ghast? You want to fire a fireball at me? Direct hit. It lit things on fire, but it didn't destroy anything because polished blackstone has too high of a resistance. Just like how I think we have a natural resistance to like, you know, certain forms of change. Like when something changes, it doesn't feel like it's going to get better in a lot of cases because, you know, especially like, you know, change against your will, maybe, let's say. Like when something changes and you're like, when I changed from eating at McDonald's to eating at Five Guys, my life does have a slight increase in, you know, I feel like that's a good thing. Like when there's a thing like that happening, when I change from being where I am right now at my PC to being at Five Guys, and you know, every example today is gonna be Five Guys. That's just how this one goes. Do you like these blocks instead, by the way? I think I used them, I'll be honest. It worked before, but I think this plus these have a really nice contrast. I'm really torn between Crying Obsidian and these. So we could use like maybe both. No, we can't use both. We have to commit one way or the other. And I guess chiseled nether brick. It's a nice block. We haven't got to use it before, so let's use it right now. And then let's also make sure these always face upwards, because otherwise things get ugly. But yeah, the natural resistance to change that comes from outside of us, the natural resistance to not wanting things to happen on our behalf, is a really interesting one that, you know, obviously comes somewhere from self-preservation. Also, I think there might be some basalt after this. You know, let's have like a top layer of that just to finish off that pattern, and then we can finish up right here. I think that's how that is. Might have an extra block that's unnecessary, but you never know until you go. And then, which is a dumb phrase, by the way. But yeah, like I was thinking about like another situation recently where when I first like wanted to travel, because if you don't know, I go to a lot of places. I even briefly alluded to it here. When I first wanted to travel somewhere, I had a friend who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna come with you." And at the time I took it as like an easy like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna come with me. He's gonna make this so much easier now." Like, and like because then I'd have to work out everything by myself. It's not so terrifying being in a foreign country I've never been to by myself, if there's someone with me. And thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, it was a really bad trip, I would say. Like, we had like a little bit of fun, and then they went off and did some weird, you know, stuff, and like they were just a weird, not comfortable person to be around the entire time. So like I savored more than anything else my moments where I was away from them, where I was, you know, therefore alone in a foreign country by myself. And yeah, actually that happened twice. Like 2 of my first trips, like I agreed to go with someone, and then I didn't like being with them as much, clearly, as maybe they liked being a thing. But as a result of this, I feel like one of the weird side quirks of that was I realized that, like, oh, I actually like being, I can do being by myself. In some cases, better than being with someone else. And because one of the things people are always terrified of, I even told the story about a taxi driver who was like, wait, you're going to Finland by yourself? That seems like kind of lonely, maybe a bit scary, no? And like I didn't realize that it wasn't a normalish thing to do to just like, oh yeah, just hop off to a foreign country until you know, like a few people mentioned it, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is something. For some people, this is either terrifying or it seems like some weird cry for help, even maybe. And maybe it is. Maybe these whole videos are a cry for help. You should come and save me. Not that I am locked inside someone's basement, but you should come and help me just in case. Help me. That was a funny joke. Don't actually come and try and help me. Anyway, so I shouldn't do joke cries for help in case someone's like, no, Toy Cat, we need to find you. It's all good, I do assure you. Or I would say that if I was being kidnapped, wouldn't I? Although if I was being kidnapped, they wouldn't let me upload this video. So that's how you know this is real. That's how you know that I'm not being kidnapped. Or I'm joking about it so well that you would never know. But what I'm trying to damn it, you know, I tried to make one point and I just make kidnapping jokes all day instead. You know, this is what I deserve, am I right? But one of the things I realized from that was like, oh yeah, I actually kind of enjoy being by myself. And like sometimes really bad situations, like tend to do one of 2 things. They tend to change you in some ways, and I guess the important thing is trying to make sure that change is good. Some bad situations you can't change for the better from, right? Like there are some situations that they're gonna at least in the short term impact you for the worst. Like, oh yeah, I was bludgeoned. Someone tried to kill me with a knife, and you know, I don't like being killed by knives. That's my controversial take, and therefore I felt very bad when they tried to do that. It's gonna be hard to just be like, oh yeah, I actually kind of realized that maybe I like it when someone shoves a knife on me, or maybe maybe I should just start throwing knives on other people. Maybe you know, like go the Jigsaw route where like he got cancer and he changed his outlook so much on life after trying to commit suicide that he now dedicates his life to trying to make other people save their own lives. And if they don't save their own lives, they die, but that's kind of an okay thing. No. You don't get to... yeah, you can have some really dangerous outlooks on things in response to bad situations, I feel like. But what I think it's important to do, or maybe we do naturally, and it's, you know, like it's just a behavior, is to try and like look at bad situations and to see them in that way. You know, when I was really young, I maybe have told this story on a stream somewhere or something, but one of my friends, like, again, I would describe him as like my most out there and maybe aggressive of friends, but one of my friends got into a fight with some dudes who were in a nearby park, like yelled something, maybe, you know, some mean stuff at some 14-year-old version of us, and he yelled back some ridiculously profane stuff back at them. So one of them like climbed over a fence and like came in and like to try and, you know, like fight him. And because he was good at fighting, clearly, this was like how I first learned that. He actually, like, despite the guy being way older, like my friend, you know, destroyed the guy. And then even like a second guy got in, and, you know, my friend was still managing to hold like his own against 2 of them. But then after that, like a third guy got involved, and then my friend got kind of beaten up. And me and another guy who were there, we both just kind of like stood and stared, like frozen. We didn't know what to do. It was kind of a weird thing. Like, even though I've been in like fight situations, I've never had to like be involved in helping my friend who was the aggressor, or like, you know, whatever else. But you know, like one of the things that like I think about, not too much anymore, but like I thought about a lot in the time afterwards, was like, man, I wasn't a very good friend there. I messed up. I could have helped some justice in the world, but instead I just kind of like stared blankly and looked at it. And someone said like, but like, because that's happened once now, because that is a thing that I have now done once, I won't do it again. If the situation arises again, I'm more prepared for it. And that's, you know, that's like the bare minimum you can take away from a situation. But like sometimes, like, you know, the computer crashing and losing all the tabs, or like with realizing that I really like traveling by myself. Sometimes it's not just realizing that, like, oh yeah, things are in fact not so awful. But sometimes the message, you know, sometimes the lesson can be even more powerful, I feel like, and it can be like, oh yeah, I actually realize I like this thing more. Something very awful happened that reset my life and ruined something in a way that I would have never have wanted it to, but yet that thing was overall positive. To me, I would say. But yet that thing was positive and maybe, you know, like change something about you. That's like what we usually try to do to like rationalize some awful stuff. And I feel like that's actually a cool, like, mental check mechanism. You know, right now we live in a world where, like, I would say depression rates seem to be, maybe it's just online, but are skyrocketing. Part of that is because of the way social media algorithms work to make you continuously unsatisfied. But, you know, let's be real, the reason you click this video is because you're like, oh yeah, I need some entertainment right now. And then you clicked on it, and you're here watching your slightly shorter than normal Let's Play, I hope. Last week, I tried to make it, like, shorter, and then we ended up well over an hour. This week, we're going to be successful. I'm pretty darn sure. I say that now, but we'll see how this one goes. But, like, oh, did I want to do that? I did. But the you know, the reality is like you scroll endlessly on Twitter or whatever because you know, the algorithms are built in such a way that are like, well, you know, human suffering is not, you know, every robot movie we watch is we see how, you know, robots don't need to maximize human good, they need to maximize their goals. And now we have like self-controlled robots that no human perfectly understands. Like the humans just set up how the stuff works. You can look into machine learning if you want to. That sounds like some crazy conspiracy thing to say, but it's literally how algorithms are written. They're written by robots that just have the goal of maximize watch time, maximize time someone spends on the Twitter app, because the more time you're on the Twitter app, the more time you'll see ads, the more their site's alive, the more they can raise money through venture capital, etc., etc. But what that's actually doing is it's leaving you, you know, that it's just someone trying to show you like what things will keep you here the longest, things that make you mad, and then people get into this super vicious cycle of like watching things, you know, seeing things on Twitter that like make them not happy and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy that one of the few social media places that doesn't do it is like maybe a Reddit where people just patrol themselves by themselves. And even then, it's like, well, it's a less successful, you know, when people only seek out things for themselves. There's only one social media that I'd say doesn't have like a wild amount of like controlled by, you know, algorithm, you know, like trying to maximize user retention service, and maybe you could call that Reddit. But even then, the thing that happens on Reddit is that people go entirely the opposite way. If you try to control people to maximize their watch time, you end up in a situation where they are, you know, like, you're watching, you're keeping them there almost against their will. You're trying to do things that maximize their watch time, even if it's at the cost of their happiness, because their happiness is not a consideration to any robot, right? How do you even define happiness to a robot? It's a weird, like, impulse that comes from our brain. Sometimes we're feeling it, sometimes we're not. Can we even define our own happiness? Like, if you were head programmer for a day, or head, you know, just lead designer at Twitter one day, and they're like, okay, how do we make people happy? It's like, okay, first of all, let's define happiness. So you, Mr. Audience Member 123, your name is John now, by the way, if you're watching this video. Hello, John. I hope you enjoy your new name that I've given you. But, like, oh yeah, John, you have to decide what is happiness for the purpose of a computer program. Try and define that to us. And it's like, man, I really don't know. I went through you know, like a phase of like, again, let's call it a bad thing in my life that I like to think was useful to me, like having a very depressed phase. Because coming out of that, you know, once you hit rock bottom, the coolest thing about rock bottom is the only way is up. You can only improve from there. And the cool thing about that is like, I tried really hard as part of like my efforts to escape the very rock bottom. I tried really hard to work out like, so what exactly, you know, what is happiness? How do I be, you know, right now one of my issues is I am not very happy. I'm even, you might go as far as to say, depressed. So how do I fix that for myself, huh? What is wrong here, and what needs to improve? And it was like a really, really hard thing to define, even to work out like what personally makes me happy. And I mentioned this before. I think it's some people say they share it, but like sometimes I can just be, you know, doing something that does make me happy. Like, I don't know, I'm watching a movie, just turn off my brain. And then midway through the movie or whatever, like super fun activity, even if it's like my fun solo traveling somewhere, I'll just be like, huh, yeah, I don't know, why did I think this was fun in the first place? What's even, you know, like kind of just question everything, like straight back down to zero. And again, I don't even know what that really is. Some people say it's a symptoms of Parkinson's, which is scary. But like the loss of fun from an activity, it's, you know, it's scary. It's a weird thing, and it makes you realize that, like, oh yeah, that it existing in the first place, like losing something, if nothing else, reminds you of how unstable it was in the first place. Like, if you can lose something so easily, I lost a moderate, let's say a pretty decent amount of money recently. Just like my wallet had money one day, the next day it didn't. I don't know. Either like a friend must have done it or a stranger. Again, someone somewhere is better off for my expense, and I am, you know, worse off for something that I did not do. You know, like just at some point I was stolen from. I assume, I can only assume, or I misplaced it. Again, it's hard to be certain. But the craziest thing about losing that is not the loss itself, which is sad and tragic. Like, I've been actually robbed a few times and like in person, and it's like, man, it's the amount of things you've lost is sad. But the almost sadder thing is like realizing that, like, oh, it's that easy to lose things in the future. Like, it's not just this that I can lose this boss. So many things are, you know, hanging by a thread, not just your phone or your money or your happiness. I had to get some more Blackstone, by the way, from the overworld. We've got it now. Plenty of Blackstone, as well as some slabs, so we can make the last of the faces that we need to finish these walls. But yeah, so like really losing something so fast is really, you know, tragic, not for the loss, but for the realizing that the thing is gone, and you know, many things can go the same way. This is why so many people have that moment where, like, oh yeah, something kind of bad happened, and now you should, you know, some people say it in the way of like, oh yeah, call your mother or whatever. But like really what it is like you should value some things dearly in your life. And I think that that's another example of like sometimes something cool comes out of loss. It's not you know, it's probably better that the cool thing didn't come out of loss. It's probably better if we lived in a world where people didn't need to feel those things. But like maybe it's not. Maybe this is the same justification, but maybe one of the cool things is that we can feel loss. Beside, you know, in the exception of like in the animal kingdom, where if you kill like a tiger's mother, the cubs will starve or something. I think in the animal kingdom, one of the things they don't do that, like, you know, we have a lot of behaviors that can come straight from there, but one of the ones that can't is like we do feel genuine sadness and genuine like remorse and loss when someone we love dies. We feel a genuine like connection or something, however you want to phrase it, to, oh god. I just made a thing up and then I immediately messed it up. We feel a genuine like loss for things that are no longer there, which, you know, sounds actually kind of insane on the surface. Like, oh yeah, we care about things that don't exist. We care about these magical concepts. Like, you know, why did I care about those pieces of paper being lost? Because of what they may have represented. Why did I care? You know, why'd you care about anything? It's all just concepts. But the fact that we do care, in my opinion, the fact that we have these feelings is actually one of the greatest things about humans. Because it means that we have some emotional investment in the world. Whatever level of emotional investment, obviously, down to you as an individual. But the fact that we care about something or anything in the world at all is kind of incredible on its own level, I would say. But even more incredible is the fact that we can share that, you know, that love, that loss with other people. You know, the fact that watching a movie in the first place is enjoyable. Most of them are, you know, I watched Snowpiercer this past week, and the thing that is, you know, very enjoyable about that is, you know, seeing the, you know, the emotions all the people go through, like exhilaration and thrill and like, you know, like mutiny or whatever variety of different things that you feel. But the fact that we do at all feel, you know, for things that even aren't directly related to us is kind of great. The fact that we lose and feel loss and have feelings is wonderful, because it means that when something really bad happens to you, not only is it a experience that like you learn from, like, oh yeah, hitting rock bottom or having a bad week, or even just, you know, building a Blackstone pyramid slightly wrong, like maybe too low down in this case, and mildly regretting it. But the cool thing about making a mistake, the cool thing about having something like that happen is you can not only learn from it for yourself, but also others can learn from it too. I really like that one of the key points of solace that you can always take from any tragedy, as we've seen from the number of charities that are set up by like someone who's like someone whose child got hit by a bus, starts the oh yeah, look both ways before you cross the street campaign. Someone who gets affected by some rare disease, they start a foundation so that other people, when they get that disease, they don't need to die. Same with like a lot of science. Someone's affected by it and they're like, oh, this isn't a niche thing. We have this often problem where we underestimate the risk of certain important things. Should we have crying obsidian on the inside too, actually? You know, screw it, why not? Who's gonna stop me? Even though we do, like, crucially underestimate the importance in certain things, I would say, and, like, until something affects us, like, this thing that's happening right now in the world, a pandemic, perhaps you could call it, does that feel like a very real and ever-present risk? It probably feels like it's all the way a risk, because you have some story, some tale, some statistic that proves that it is a very real, ever-present risk, or it feels like nothing. It feels like this thing that's always happening somewhere else, but not exactly where you are right now. And I actually kind of like the way these look. I think we should get some like soul torches, someone else in here. I think we could do some nice stuff. But yeah, let's just make this wall into something. Because yeah, there's these two like back walls, I want to say, that go around here. Also, I think we cover this in. Also. Not sure why, but I guess we just do. Feels like a real waste of blocks to use blackstone on just filling in some more walls, but I guess we will. But yeah, I really love that we as a species learn from our mistakes, and we share our mistakes, and we share our worst moments, and then other people can learn from those things too. Some people think that, oh, okay, I just jumped into a fire, which I landed in while I was crafting. That is not a very high quality, smart move. But the fact that when we have a bad thing happen, we use it and we learn from it and we become better from it, and that's what we've been doing for the last few hundred years. Sometimes we repeat mistakes. History does have a nasty way of repeating itself every now and again. Because there, some of our like most basic desires and behaviors are going to be repeated. There's going to be some mistakes and some things. It's like sometimes people think that like current situation happening right now is the worst thing that's ever happened, and in reality it's like, oh yeah, it's just like pretty bad. But the fact that you think it's the worst thing that's ever happened is very useful, because it means that like this is the moment where you're like, oh yeah, this is real serious. Big things didn't just happen in the past, they happen in the present too, and I can help avoid them. You can learn from someone else's misgivings and be better as a result. And that's kind of cool in my opinion. That's the one thing I really like the most. And that's why I think, because we can not only share directly person to person, now we can share on the internet. One of the things that you can do with any, bad thing that's happened, or your story or your tale, is you can just share it with other people, and those other people will see it, and, like they'll know from your experience too. They're like, oh, turns out not very good. They didn't enjoy this thing, and now the fact that you can help other people's lives, the fact that people can listen and then learn and realize that they shouldn't do whatever thing or example it may be, it's always an incredible thing to me. Okay, so let's finish up there, and then I think we have done an entire desert temple, with the exception, actually, wait. So first of all, there's like some weird dividers back here. This is good enough for now. Second of all, I think we missed one of the side towers at the front. I think like everything's done besides literally the most prominent bit. Oh no, honestly, if you didn't look at it from this side, you would never know it wasn't finished, right? So all we have to do now is go find some basalt, because I think we have 2 polished basalt left, which is, it's nice, don't get me wrong. It's just also not enough to actually finish what we're trying to do here. But okay, let's place the last block just up there. Okay, sure, because why not? And now we need to go get some more polished, or some of these chiseled Nether bricks, and some more polished basalt. And then we got our finished build. Okay, I've got 6 more basalt that I can polish up. Do I need to? I really, really hope I don't have to go all the way across my world just to find some more, because I think I literally might, actually. Damn. Well, you know, we all. Wait, no, there's gonna be some more, like, chilling in one of these chests. I know for a fact I must have mined basalt at some point. Got some polished blackstone in here, I guess. I'll take that from here anyway. Maybe in the other chest. I keep some of it just chilling around. My storage is really bad, by the way. I know that for a fact. Because, yeah, I like, not only do we learn from each other's mistakes, we become better people all through the internet. No, how do I not have a single basalt block? It's such a common, simple one to be collecting. But I guess I do have some, and that was the 6 blocks I just found, so... yeah, let's actually... Wait, let's see. Is this going to be enough? I really hope it's going to be enough. If we maybe get some... Okay, so we can chisel on our bricks. We got that sorted just now. And then we got 8 polished basalt. And is that going to be enough? I think it... Wait, so... Normally it needs 4, 8, 11. We need 11, but we've already put down a certain amount, right? We've already put down 4. Oh, yeah, we get 1 to spare. Heck yeah. Look at that. That's something we've done the other side, which I'm just going to imagine we have. Because I don't want to ruin this puff. I don't want to ruin this moment where we have successfully done something by realizing we haven't. So, oh, we actually have. That's nice. So, grab some of this, grab some of that. And let's finish this last corner. Let's hold on the whole thing back up. Do a little jump from here to... there. Hey, that was basically my first time. And now we can do the glorious final honor that is placing the last blocks off a corrupted desert pyramid or a nether pyramid or whatever you really want to call it. We now have this nice little thing that we can choose to, again, the actual interior use for it, I think it's always good to like have something in mind. I think as a chest room this would be great because it's got some angles in, but they're very few and far between. And we could add a trapdoor to the top. We could add a door. Like, we could make this a properly sealed off room. So for, like, storing rare valuable things, that might be a good idea. I also think maybe if we want to have, like, a village, it's a really weird thing to do, but, like, we could have lots of beds in here and maybe use these little side areas as little trapping points for villagers. Also, potentially an idea. Or we could just leave it and have it be an aesthetic piece for in the future. Lots of different alternatives we can explore, and that's the cool thing about building in Minecraft. You honestly, like when again, I know a lot of people have a very different technique to me, and that's cool. Maybe, oh, actually, there's the top of these pillars. They're too flat. I didn't notice. We need to fix that up right now. You know, if we just pretend that we already did this, then we can say we were finished when we said it a second ago. But you know, I won't pretend that, and I'll say, you know, we made a mistake, and you know what I'm doing? I'm learning from that mistake. Also, look at this. You see how there's gas fireballs? You see how stuff is not being destroyed? Wow, look at my pyramid. Look how not destroyed it is. Because blast resistance is important. So yeah, this video was not only here to teach you some things from some mistakes we made, it also taught you a lesson. Actually, I guess I have made the mistake of placing like a lot of dirt things in the nether, having it be destroyed. I've even recently, after knowing how to do better, learned from some things. And that's because, you know what? Learning from things can take all different forms. Sometimes you can learn from things that you're continually making the mistake of, because different lessons work for different people. For some people, the only reason their stuff is being blown up is because they didn't know. And I hope this video was useful in stopping you from that. And you know what? Yeah, maybe that's a thing. It's like how everyone knows, like, you know, I don't know, like smoking, for instance, is bad for you. Like, everyone's aware of that fact. It's just some people find it easier than others to deal with it. Also, I don't think this is actually correct. I think there's meant to be 2 of these. But, you know, I'm going to pretend that that's how that just is meant to go. So I can claim a victory here. I'd also, if I wasn't going to terraform the biome around it, what I'd also recommend doing is, like, having this go all the way down to the ground. Kind of like this everywhere. Because that's what desert temples do when they generate. But since we're going to play around with the terrain afterwards, for now, let's enjoy the spoils of what we've done. Let's enjoy the spoils of today. And let's also tell you that, oh, usually every Let's Play has like a what I've been up to this past week section, and it's usually very early in. But because of quarantine, inside time, etc., doesn't really mean a lot. But I'd like to mention, my life is starting up again. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that's terrifying. Maybe it's not. You tell me. But for now, I just want to say, we built a corrupted desert temple, and it's kind of cool, right? Maybe that's just me that thinks that, but I think it's cool. Maybe you disagree. If you do, let me know. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, regardless. It was less than an hour. You proud of me? We did it. We did it. We managed to get a Let's Play under the hour mark. This is a proud day. I'd like to thank you, my subscribers. I'd like to thank my assistant for putting up with these things. And I'd like to thank me for going out and getting all that crying obsidian and mining all that blackstone in those streams which have been going on this past week. Which, by the way, if you like the Let's Plays, you might like the live streams and vice versa. Although if I say that here, if you like the live streams, you might like the Let's Plays. At the end of an hour-long Let's Play or 40 minutes or whatever, not a good time to mention it. But you know what is a good time to mention? My sponsor, IBX Toycat. That's right. If you go to youtube.com/IBX Toycat or IBXToycat.com, you will find my favorite place in the universe. And if you give him money, it goes to me because we are the same person. Because IBX Toycat is just an online name. Wow, I bet you didn't know that. But what you don't know is that this video is over. Goodbye.